Deception is another word for trick. A trick refers to a cunning or sneaky act intended to outsmart someone, often for fun or for an advantage. He played a trick on his little brother by swapping the sugar with salt. Deception is the act of causing someone to believe something that isn't true, often to gain an advantage or avoid consequences. Her deception fooled everyone into thinking she was a professional chef. Both words involve misleading someone, usually by dishonesty or misdirection. A trick can be playful or harmless. April Fool's Day is basically National Trick Day, while deception has a more serious tone, often tied to fraud or betrayal. He fell for the magician's trick. The company's false financial reports were a deliberate deception that misled investors and cost them millions.
Delineate is another word for clarify. Clarify means to make something clearer or easier to understand. She asked the teacher to clarify the instructions. Delineate means to describe something precisely or to outline it clearly, often with detailed explanations or boundaries. The architect delineated the layout of the new building. Both terms are about making things clearer or easier to grasp. Clarify focuses on removing confusion in understanding, while delineate often refers to giving thorough descriptions. The politician clarified his point during the debate. The report delineates the steps required to improve efficiency within the company.
Propitious is another word for fortunate. Fortunate means being lucky or having a good outcome. I'm fortunate to live near my family. Propitious means having favorable conditions. It was a propitious time to ask for a raise. Both words suggest good luck or positive outcomes. Fortunate is often used to describe people or situations that benefit from luck, while propitious typically describes conditions or timing that favor success. My friend feels fortunate that she has no student loan debt. The clear skies were a propitious sign for the outdoor wedding.
Obloquy is another word for humiliation. Humiliation is the painful loss of pride, dignity, or self-respect, often because of embarrassment. Tripping on the sidewalk during our first date was pure humiliation. Obloquy refers to strong public criticism or disgrace, usually involving widespread blame or shame. The mayor faced obloquy after the scandal broke. Both words involve a blow to one's reputation or sense of self. Humiliation is personal and often felt internally, while obloquy tends to be public, coming from others' harsh judgment. His humiliation was obvious after his mistake. She endured obloquy for her controversial remarks.
Vitriolic is another word for harsh. Harsh describes something severe, cruel, or unpleasant to experience. The harsh winter winds made walking outside unbearable. Vitriolic refers to something bitterly scathing and cruel, often criticism. His vitriolic comments left the audience stunned. Both words can describe something intensely negative. Harsh can refer to anything unpleasant or severe, whether criticism, treatment, while vitriolic is almost always about caustic language or attitude. The professor's harsh attendance policy was unpopular. The newspaper reporter wrote a vitriolic review of the play.
Catechize is another word for teach. Teach means to impart knowledge or instruct someone on how to do something. On the weekends, I teach my niece how to play chess. Catechize specifically means to instruct someone systematically, often by asking and answering questions, particularly in a religious context. The priest catechized the children before their confirmation. Both words are about providing instruction and helping someone learn. Teach is a general term and applies to anything from math to yoga. Catechize is much more specific, often tied to religious or formal instruction by rote learning. I teach beginner piano lessons. They catechized new converts in preparation for baptism.
Doggerel is another word for verse. Verse refers to writing arranged with rhythm and often rhyme, typically part of a poem or song. She wrote a beautiful verse about the sunset. Doggerel refers to comic or poorly written verse that's often clumsy or trivial. He amused us with a bit of doggerel about his cat's eating habits. Both terms refer to forms of poetry or verse. Verse can be high art or serious literature, while doggerel is intentionally or sometimes unintentionally silly, awkward, or low quality. My verse was published in a literary magazine. My cousin's doggerel made everyone laugh at the dinner table.
Heuristic is another word for inquisitive. Inquisitive describes someone who is eager to know things, often asking lots of questions. The inquisitive child wanted to know how airplanes fly. Heuristic refers to an approach to learning or problem-solving that involves self-discovery and experimentation. The scientist used a heuristic method to figure out the puzzle. Both words are about curiosity and learning through exploration. Inquisitive focuses on the person's nature or personality, while heuristic describes an approach focused on discovering solutions through trial and error. Her inquisitive mind kept the teacher busy with questions. The software engineer followed a heuristic approach to coding.
Obfuscate is another word for confuse. Confuse means to make someone uncertain or unable to understand something clearly. The instructions confuse me, so I assembled the bookshelf backward. Obfuscate means to make something unclear or difficult to understand, often deliberately, in order to hide the truth. The politician obfuscated his involvement in the scandal. Both words involve a lack of clarity and comprehension. Confusing someone or getting confused can happen accidentally or innocently, but to obfuscate is to cover up intentionally and in a sneaky sort of way. The math lesson confused me, so I got a bad grade on the pop-up quiz. The legal jargon was designed to obfuscate the truth.
Habiliment is another word for clothing. Clothing refers to garments or attire that people wear. I packed extra clothing for the trip. Habiliment is a more formal or old-fashioned word for clothing, especially specialized or ceremonial outfits. The knight's habiliments gleamed in the sunlight. Both words refer to items that people wear. Clothing is the everyday, practical word, while habiliment sounds fancy and is often used for formal, historical, or literary purposes. We donated 5 bags of clothing to charity. His habiliments indicated he was a man of royalty.
Vivify is another word for refresh. To refresh means to restore energy or strength, whether it's a person, room, or web page. A nap helped to refresh me after a long day at the airport. To vivify means to enliven or bring something to life, often by making it more vibrant or animated. Her storytelling vivified the dull meeting. Both words are about bringing energy or life to something or someone. Refresh is commonly used for things like rest, hydration, or updates, while vivify leans more toward giving new life or vividness to something abstract or lifeless. A snack can really refresh your mind. The artist's bold colors vivify the entire gallery.
Complaisant is another word for agreeable. Agreeable describes someone or something pleasant, likable, or willing to go along with others. My sister is an agreeable companion on long road trips. Complaisant describes someone who is cheerfully willing to please others, or do what they want, sometimes to a fault. The complaisant assistant agreed to work overtime without hesitation. Both words can describe people who are easy to get along with. Agreeable can mean both pleasant in personality, or satisfactory in general, while complaisant specifically refers to someone's readiness to oblige or comply. The agreeable weather made the summer picnic a success. The complaisant spouse accepted the dinner plans at a restaurant he didn't like just to avoid a conflict.
Anathema is another word for curse. A curse refers to a wish or invocation of misfortune upon someone or something, often spoken aloud. The witch placed a curse on the village. An anathema is something or someone intensely disliked or condemned, often to the point of being publicly shunned or cursed. For someone who loved the quiet countryside, the chaos of city life was anathema. Both words convey intense negativity or condemnation. A curse often involves uttering weird words or using magic, while an anathema is more about strong moral or social rejection. The residents believed the ancient statue carried a curse, dooming anyone who dared to steal it to a life of misfortune. The traitor's name was anathema among his former allies.
Prevaricate is another word for lie. To lie means to deliberately say something false with the intent to deceive. The teenager lied about finishing his homework. To prevaricate means to avoid telling the truth by being misleading or evasive, often beating around the bush. The witness prevaricated when asked about her whereabouts on the night of the crime. Both words involve a lack of truthfulness. To lie is to tell a direct falsehood, while to prevaricate is to dodge the truth without necessarily stating an outright lie. The child lied about how many cookies she had eaten. My coworker prevaricated when asked if he had finished the project.
Aphorism is another word for saying. A saying is a short, commonly known phrase that expresses an idea or piece of wisdom. You know the saying, better late than never. An aphorism is a concise statement that expresses a general truth or observation about life and human nature, often witty or philosophical. He quoted the aphorism from Socrates, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Both are short expressions of truth or advice. A saying is casual and familiar, often passed down informally, while an aphorism suggests something a bit more literary or insightful and is often attributed to a specific person. Grandma always had a saying for everything. The philosopher's aphorisms about the complexities of human existence are still quoted today.
Dilatorily is another word for slowly. Slowly describes doing something at a reduced speed or with little haste. The man drove slowly once it started to snow. Dilatorily describes acting in a way that causes delay or procrastination, often intentionally. She responded dilatorily to the email to stall dealing with a pestering issue. Both refer to a lack of speed or promptness. Slowly is a neutral term to describe pace. Dilatorily often implies someone is dragging their feet or stalling on purpose. She slowly sipped her tea. The lawyer filed the case dilatorily to buy more time.
Desultory is another word for random. Random describes something made, done, or happening without a definite plan, purpose, or pattern. I picked a random book from the shelf and started reading. Desultory refers to something lacking a clear plan, consistency, or connection, often jumping from one thing to another. The conversation was desultory, skipping from sports to politics to sandwiches. Both words describe things that are disconnected or lacking order. Random often describes choices or selections without a pattern, while desultory focuses more on aimlessness in conversation, action, or effort. She made a random guess on the quiz. His desultory job hunting techniques got him nowhere.
Occlude is another word for prevent. Prevent means to stop something from happening. Wearing sunscreen can prevent sunburn. Occlude means to block or close up something, often physically. The artery was occluded by plaque. Both words deal with stopping or blocking something. Prevent can apply to any situation where you stop something from occurring, while occlude specifically refers to physical obstruction, often in medical or technical contexts. Lack of experience didn't prevent her from getting the job. The dentist explained that food particles could occlude the canal.
Abeyance is another word for inactivity. Inactivity is the state of doing nothing or being idle. After finishing the house project, he enjoyed a few days of inactivity. Abeyance refers to a temporary state of disuse or suspension. The new law was held in abeyance until further notice. Both terms suggest a pause in action or movement. Inactivity usually refers to people or animals not moving or doing something, while abeyance is more formal and often describes processes or policies that are temporarily halted. The doctor warned patients that inactivity could lead to heart problems later in life. The court case was in abeyance, pending new evidence.
Inchoate is another word for undeveloped. Undeveloped describes something that hasn't fully grown, progressed, or been worked on further. The film's plot felt undeveloped and unfinished. Inchoate means something has just begun but is lacking form or structure, often referencing ideas or feelings. His inchoate ideas needed more time to mature. Both words describe something incomplete or in an early stage. Undeveloped is a more common term for things that aren't finished, while inchoate suggests that something with potential has begun but remains unshaped. The neighborhood is still undeveloped, with many empty plots of land. Her theory was inchoate yet so unique that it fascinated her professor.
Apperceive is another word for know. To know means to be aware of something through observation, inquiry, or information. I know the answer to this question. To apperceive means to consciously understand something, often by reflecting on experience. She apperceived the poem's meaning by comparing it to her own childhood. Both involve gaining understanding or awareness. Know is straightforward and widely used, while apperceive is a psychological term that often involves a deep perception. I know how to drive a car. After much thought, I apperceived the moral of the story.
Alacrity is another word for eagerness. Eagerness describes an intense desire or enthusiasm to do something. My sister's eagerness for starting a new job was obvious. Alacrity refers to a cheerful and quick readiness to do something. They accepted the party invitation with alacrity. Both words convey excitement or willingness to act. Eagerness highlights being excited or prepared to do something, while alacrity emphasizes prompt and energetic action. My eagerness to explore the new city was clear as I mapped out every destination. The volunteers responded with alacrity, ready to help with the cleanup as soon as the event ended.
Phlegmatic is another word for unemotional. Unemotional describes someone who doesn't show strong feelings. I remained unemotional during the argument. Phlegmatic refers to someone calm, composed, and not easily excited or upset. The governor had a phlegmatic reaction to the shocking news. Both describe a lack of visible emotion. Unemotional can suggest coldness or detachment, while phlegmatic often implies steadiness and self-control, sometimes even in a positive sense. His unemotional tone made it hard to tell if he cared. The paramedic's phlegmatic demeanor made her perfect for the job.
Dissimulate is another word for disguise. Disguise means to alter one's appearance or behavior to conceal identity or true feelings. The celebrity disguised herself by wearing sunglasses and a big hat. Dissimulate means to hide or conceal one's true feelings or intentions. Despite his growing frustration, the cashier managed to dissimulate his irritation with a polite nod and a forced smile. Both involve hiding something from others. To disguise is to make use of physical or external elements, while to dissimulate refers to concealing one's inner emotions or intentions. The thief disguised himself with a mask. She had to dissimulate her excitement so she wouldn't ruin the surprise party.
Quiescent is another word for still. The adjective still describes something that's quiet or not in motion. The lake was perfectly still at dawn. Quiescent means being in a temporary state of inactivity or rest. The volcano was quiescent for decades before it erupted. Both words describe a lack of movement or activity. The patient sat still for the dental X-ray. The city was quiescent at dawn but would soon be filled with the hustle and bustle of commuters.
Lassitude is another word for weariness. Weariness is physical or mental tiredness, often after hard work. Despite the weariness in their legs, the travelers finished the long hike. Lassitude describes a state of weariness or lack of energy, often with a feeling of listlessness. I was overcome by lassitude in the afternoon heat. Both refer to fatigue and lack of energy. Weariness is a straightforward term for feeling tired, while lassitude can imply more of a mental or emotional exhaustion, sometimes without a clear cause. After running a marathon, his weariness was obvious. During the dull meeting, a wave of lassitude swept over her.
Lionize is another word for praise. To praise means to express approval or admiration. The manager praised his hard work on the project. To lionize means to treat someone as a celebrity, giving them lots of public attention and admiration. The media began to lionize the young athlete, turning her every move into a headline. Both involve admiration and approval. Praise can be private or public and about small or large achievements, while lionize suggests celebrity-level admiration and attention. The teacher praised her students for their work on the math assessment. Homer lionized heroes like Achilles and Odysseus in his epic poems.
Soporific is another word for hypnotic. Something hypnotic induces sleep or trance-like focus. The rhythmic sound of the rain was hypnotic. Soporific means causing drowsiness or sleep. The professor's monotone lecture was soporific. Both words describe something that can make you sleepy or deeply relaxed. Hypnotic can imply fascination or reverie beyond just sleepiness, while soporific is more straightforwardly about sleep-inducing effects. Her voice had a hypnotic quality, drawing the audience in as she spoke. I couldn't keep my eyes open during the soporific afternoon heat.
Perspicacity is another word for tact. Tact means sensitivity in dealing with others or difficult situations. The writer handled the criticism of his book with tact. Perspicacity means a keen understanding and insight into things. Her perspicacity made her an excellent psychologist. Both involve perception and understanding in situations. Tact is about being sensitive and considerate, especially in social interactions, while perspicacity is about sharp intellectual insight and perception. I shared the delicate news with tact, making sure everyone had a chance to ask questions. The detective's perspicacity helped him solve the case faster than anyone expected.
A cynosure is a person or thing that attracts a lot of attention or interest. As a proper noun, cynosure may refer to the North Star or its constellation Ursa Minor. He was the cynosure of all eyes as he walked into the room.
Someone or something described as effusive is expressing or showing a lot of emotion or enthusiasm. Jay positively glowed as effusive compliments on the meal echoed around the table. They gave us such an effusive welcome, it was quite embarrassing.
Snark is an informal word that refers to an attitude or expression of mocking irreverence and sarcasm. The stand-up comedian's set was full of snark about current events, which had the audience rolling in the aisles. This snark blatantly attacks the author.
Hew is commonly used with to mean to conform to or adhere to something. Hew, on its own, has several meanings, having to do with cutting or shaping with a sharp tool, such as an axe. Both hewed and hewn are past participles of hew. The senator has always hewed closely to the party line. The explorers hewed logs for building cabins.
Benign describes something that does not cause harm or damage. In medical contexts, it is used to describe something that does not threaten life or health, as in a benign tumor. Additional meanings include mild and pleasant, as in benign weather conditions, and showing kindness and gentleness, as in a benign outlook. The project required that we manage some inconvenient, but ultimately benign conditions. You would never have guessed his intentions from the benign expression on his face.
An impresario is a person who manages, puts on, or sponsors a performance or other entertainment, such as a concert, play, or sporting event. The former heavyweight retired from the ring and later became a boxing impresario.
Something described as malleable is capable of being stretched or bent into different shapes, or capable of being easily changed or influenced. Let the cookie dough thaw until it becomes malleable enough to thinly roll. Students' minds are malleable, and they need positive influences and guidance.
Apparatchik is used disapprovingly to refer to a blindly devoted official, follower, or member of an organization, such as a corporation or political party. This generation of graduates wants more out of life than to become establishment apparatchiks.
Vouchsafe is a formal and old-fashioned word meaning to give something to someone as a promise or a privilege. He vouchsafed the secret to only a few of his closest allies. He vouchsafed to me certain family secrets.
Cherry is usually used with about or to describe someone who is cautious about doing something. The director is chary about spending money. I've always been chary of traveling alone.
Kitsch refers to something that appeals to popular or lowbrow taste and is often cheap or tacky. Kitsch also refers to a tacky or lowbrow quality or condition. The restaurant is decorated with 1950s furniture and kitsch from old TV shows. The critic opined that the movie, despite its lofty ambitions, at times descended into kitsch.
Gustatory describes things that are related to or associated with eating or the sense of taste. The deli has been widely praised for its astonishing variety of gustatory delights.
To reminisce is to talk, think, or write about things that happened in the past. After the official reunion dinner, the old friends gathered at a pub to reminisce about their high school days, now long past. They reminisced about their summers abroad.
Druthers is an informal word that refers to the power or opportunity to choose, in other words, free choice. It is used especially in the phrase if one had one's druthers. If I had my druthers, I would travel all the time. Given his druthers, he would listen to different music.
Someone described as pugnacious shows a readiness or desire to fight or argue. There's one pugnacious member on the committee who won't agree to anything. His public statements became increasingly pugnacious.
Adversity refers to a difficult situation or condition, or to a state of serious or continued difficulty or misfortune. The soldiers were honored for acting with courage in the face of adversity. The team overcame many adversities on their way to summiting the mountain.
Uncouth describes things, such as language or behavior, that are impolite or socially unacceptable. A person may also be described as uncouth if they are behaving in a rude way. Stacy realized it would be uncouth to show up to the party without a gift, so she picked up a bottle of wine on the way. He is unwashed, uncouth, and drunk most of the time.
To collaborate is to work with another person or group in order to do or achieve something. Collaborate can also be used disapprovingly to mean to cooperate with or willingly assist an enemy of one's country, and especially an enemy who occupies it during a war. Several research teams from various countries collaborated closely on the project. They were suspected of collaborating with enemy forces.
Someone described as fastidious is extremely or overly careful about how they do something. Fastidious may also describe someone who is difficult to please, or someone who always wants to be clean, neat, etc. Our parents taught us to be fastidious in keeping our rooms clean, making sure to dust every surface and sweep out every corner. He's a fastidious dresser whose fashion choices seem to anticipate the newest trends.
In Christian theology, resurrection, typically capitalized in this use, refers to the event in which Jesus Christ returned to life after his death. In general contexts, resurrection refers to the act of causing something that had ended or been forgotten or lost to exist again, to be used again, etc. Church members look forward to celebrating the resurrection every Easter. The community applauded the resurrection of the commuter rail system. Bodacious is used as an informal synonym of remarkable and noteworthy, as well as sexy and voluptuous. In some dialects of the southern and midland U.S., bodacious is used by its oldest meaning, outright, unmistakable. The bodacious decor of the boutique hotel is intended to appeal to the young and the hip. The restaurant serves bodacious grilled lobster.
Liaison refers to a person who helps organizations or groups work together and provide information to each other, or to a relationship that allows such interactions. Liaison can also refer to an illicit sexual relationship. The new position involves acting as a liaison between the police department and city schools. The committee has maintained close liaison with some of the former board members.
Slough is a formal verb used for the action of getting rid of something unwanted. It is usually used with off. Slough can also mean to lose a dead layer of skin or to become shed or cast off. The editorial urges the mayor not to slough off responsibility for the errors in the report. The exfoliating cleanser promises to gently slough away dead skin cells.
Ostensible is used to describe something that seems or is said to be true or real, but is possibly not true or real. In other words, it is plausible rather than demonstrably true or real. The ostensible purpose of a filibuster is to extend debate, but in reality it is used to delay or prevent action. The delay may have a deeper cause than the ostensible reason.
Travail is a formal word, usually used in plural, that refers to a difficult experience or situation. The book describes the political travails of the governor during her first year in office. The recent travails of the airline industry.
Someone described as nonchalant is relaxed and calm, either because they do not care about something or because they are not worried about something. Nonchalant can also be used to describe something, such as demeanor or behavior, that expresses such relaxed, calm unconcern. The team showed a somewhat nonchalant attitude at the beginning of the season, but they became more serious once the championship was within reach. She gave a nonchalant shrug.
Decimate can mean both to destroy a large number of plants, animals, people, etc., or to severely damage or destroy a large part of something. The bay's lobsters have been decimated by disease. Budget cuts have decimated public services throughout the state.
Alacrity refers to a quick and cheerful readiness to do something. She accepted the invitation to go on the trip with an alacrity that surprised her parents, who had assumed she wouldn't be interested. She accepted the money with alacrity.
Furtive describes something that is done in a quiet and secret way to avoid being noticed. It can also mean expressive of stealth, or sly as in a furtive look, or obtained underhandedly, as in furtive gains. We exchanged furtive smiles across the table, carefully not to attract the teacher's attention. There was something furtive about his behavior, and I immediately felt suspicious.
Insouciance is a formal word that refers to a feeling of carefree unconcern. It can also be understood as a word for the relaxed and calm state of a person who is not worried about anything. The young actor charmed interviewers with his easy smile and devil-may-care insouciance. She hid her worries behind an air of insouciance.